You're at 109 right now.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the IC 109 podcast. And my guest today is none other than Big Mike. Big Mike, you there?
I'm here.
So you're scrolling through your feed on your phone. What do you see there?
Just the various things I talk about. Anti-black racism from Mexicans, uh, international travel, the evil of white Americans.
Man, okay. Just to give the audience out there some idea what Big Mike and I are going to discuss. We've got 3 segments for you on this episode, and we're going to be talking about some what? We're going to get into a little bit about history, um, white supremacy, imperialism we're gonna touch on that, and yes, we're gonna talk about policing as well in this episode. So stay tuned as Big Mike and I get into it. You're listening to
You're at 109 right now.
That's Kobe Bryant. Legends never die. Mike, check 1 2 1 2. We're gonna give Big Mike a call.
Yeah, what's up?
So I'm recording a podcast right now.
Oh, okay.
So I need someone to talk to chop it up with. But here's the thing.
All
So
right.
so we're gonna do this a little differently. Um, yeah, I'm gonna put it into different sections, segments. Excuse me. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like 5 minutes, we'll talk about something, and then we can move on to another topic, or and so forth and so on. And then I'm gonna do a better job of editing, and I'll put some transitions in and other stuff like that.
All right, no problem.
So I'm recording right now.
All right, so what's the first topic?
Um, I guess related to me, and substitute teachers, UTLA, within the last hour or so, the strike ended. Well, I mean, the strike ended yesterday, but um, I guess we were successful because we worked in conjunction with another organization to show support for their bargaining, their negotiations, and they were successful. So hopefully that success is going to translate to success for our group.
But see, what they did in the 40s or the 50s, I forget exactly, is they actually made it illegal to change strike in the United States. So what I'm saying is like, let's say the bus drivers and the janitors and the lunch ladies go on strike. What used to happen would be, well, okay, well, the teachers would go on strike also, and maybe some other group would also go on strike. But now that's against the law in the United States. So that gives power, that takes away the power of bargaining from the workers and gives it back to the employers, because you can't shut down an entire segment of the industry. So, for example, where I'm from in Ohio, in Youngstown area, they had the big chemical spill from the train derailment. Well, that was brought on because Biden ended the strike by the train workers, because the rail system is critical infrastructure. So he unilaterally just ended it. And what happened? 8 months later, the same issues that these people were bringing up now is causing a problem that'll probably be there for 200 or 300 years now. That area might be unlivable. They won't tell you up front how bad it is, because the United States government isn't in the business of protecting the American people.
You're talking about
But
the train derailment that happened recently.
yeah, what I'm saying is that what we did under basically starting in the late 50s, early 60s, is we systematically disarm the union, and the union was the only outlet for the workers to push back against the consolidation of power in the hands of private employers. So now you have something like only 13% of workers belong to a union, and a lot of those workers belong to public unions, which have very limited powers to strike and whatnot. So they're very low-powered unions. But like most industries that have no unions, have no protections. So you can have things like Elon Musk coming in and buying Twitter and firing 60% of the workers, or demanding that they work 18, 19-hour days and sleep in their offices. It's ripe for abuse.
Okay, so you're saying that what UTLA, that's the organization I'm with,
I
what
mean, you're
they,
barely with them, but go
I
ahead.
know, right? But
You have no. I don't understand why, as a collective bargaining unit, they would have a tiered system of benefits. It's madness to me that and because you have to be a member of that union to teach in that school district, that you don't automatically receive benefits from day one, because you're paying dues from day one. So they're just taking money from you for nothing.
yeah.
So they're, to me, they are as abusive as any employer. If that's their policy toward their membership.
Man. All right, all right. But wait. So let me get this straight. So you're saying that UTLA, our organization, should not have been able to support another, or shouldn't the teacher should not have been able to strike when the
I'm
other
saying no, I'm not
organization.
saying should. I'm saying it's against the law. You cannot look it up. I mean, I can look it up for you a little bit later. I'm at the park with my kids.
Yeah.
My daughter just ran up to the car. She found $5 on the ground.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
If you were in
She just
Japan,
gave me $5.
if you were in Japan, that $5 would be still on the ground. That's for the rightful owner to pick it up.
Well, we're not in Japan. My kids are Taiwanese.
Oh man.
We're Taiwanese and black, and they don't have those values.
All right, so that's the first segment right there. We were talking about the UTLA strike that I was a part of in spirit, because physically I was not there. Um
Well, there was no place for you to be. I mean, I guess you could have technically went on the you could have went and picketed the building or whatever, but
yeah,
you're not really a member of that union.
they
Those
as
were
long as they take the dues out of my check, I am.
no, I'm saying the issue was bus drivers, janitors, and school lunch people. So that wasn't your particular union.
But
Like you
that's
could have you could have, in solidarity, you could have gone, but it wasn't your direct issue.
right, and
They weren't
that was the
collectively
point.
bargaining your your pay or your benefits or your whatever. That was somebody else's.
But that was the point, to show solidarity, so that when see our issues come up for negotiation on Tuesday of next week. So that's
Are you
why
all going to strike?
that was the strike. And as far as I know, that was the strike, and that whole all of that was to force Carvalho's hand, and let him know, look, man, we're serious, and we're working together, to
No,
support each other.
if y'all was serious, y'all should say we're not even going to negotiate over the summer. We'll just let it go. And the first of the school year, there are no schools. We'll
Mm.
shut it all down. And you can try to find 4 or 5 thousand teachers, which you won't be able to do because it's
60
impossible to live in. How many? How
65,000.
many?
Well,
It's 65,000 teachers. Oh, that sounds high.
maybe 65,000 employees, because for the
Yeah,
teachers.
I don't think it's 65,000 teachers.
Okay.
How
Yeah.
many students are there?
I have no idea. A few thousand at one school, and there's several. I mean, there are plenty of schools around. I don't know. Numbers, I don't know. I've only been in this position for like no more than 4 months, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So let me see.
yeah.
Anyway,
I'm all for crushing an employer when the workers have an upper hand because they are more than they go out of their ways to crush employees at every single turn.
all
Look
right,
at Elon Musk.
all right. So I'm gonna stop the recording here. Welcome back, everyone.
You're at 109 right now.
So we're talking with Big Mike, and I guess I'm debriefing. After my week of being with the students, and I guess Big Mike, you're helping me debrief. So, um, let's see. I was in class today, and some students, I guess they made a joke, because they laughed it off when one student accused these two students of, being Hitler lovers. The student said something about, hey, those guys love Hitler. And I personally was shocked to hear that because, like, I don't think that, discussion of Hitler at any time in my life has been acceptable, just the thought of, hey, they or those people like Hitler, that thought never would have even occurred to me. And it's such an offensive thought, that I thought, man, I today's kids are different. But I understand you've been watching a documentary about Hitler. So I guess Hitler is acceptable to discuss, to talk about these days?
Well, my question would be, why is there a prohibition against discussing Hitler from uh, a historical standpoint? He is no different than any world leader. What I mean, fundamentally, other than tactics, what's the difference between what Hitler wanted to do with his notion of living space? I forget the exact German word for it, but his notion was Germany was too small. He needed an empire. He needed to get bigger. Is that any different than what Churchill felt? When Churchill, when England when it was at its lowest during World War II, did they give up their colony? No, they still uh, had British Raj. They still had Kenya. They still had Jamaica. They still had all their overseas territories. So it's not what was done; it was who was done to. Basically, it was being done to white Europeans. That's why it's controversial because it was done before. The whole world was carved up by white Europeans, and a lot of those were, and a lot of tactics that were used were slaughters, mass slaughters, killing off of people.
All right, so
So
we're
why is it controversial when Hitler did it, or the idea that expansion? What about the westward expansion of the United States? How did
right.
that happen? Who got killed off?
Yeah. The Native Americans. So the I want to be very clear. So we're looking at this from a historical perspective, and um in light of that, because these are historic events, then we're safe to discuss these events because they were true, and there's no reason for us to, I mean, you're not touting, Hitler, neither am I. We're just
It's funny, like
analyzing.
no, it's not touting anything, but you would have no problem with me touting, let's say, George Washington, the slave owner, the torturer. You wouldn't have any problem with me touting Abraham Lincoln, who had the largest massacre of Native Americans at one time in history.
Not me personally,
The-
because I unlike I'd be on the side of the abolitionist with Frederick Douglass. That's where my
But
loyalty lies.
my whole point is that with every great empire, there's a crime. There's a crime against people,
Hmm.
and to draw the line that Hitler was some aberration in history is nonsense.
Okay.
And there has been ethnic cleansing also. Go look at what the Argentinians did with the black Argentinian population. There
Right.
are ethnic cleansings all over the world.
Now,
That's just what happens.
we're also at the 20-year mark. It's a 20-year anniversary of the Iraq war,
See, that's
and
more white supremacy.
very much so it is. You know what? And I learned about the let me see if I get the name right. The Amidia bombing. I hope I got the name right. Have you heard of this?
No.
All right, so I just learned about it this past week or so. Here's what happened in Iraq. There were, let me see, like 500 or more people huddled in a bomb shelter underground. And that bomb shelter, where they thought they were safe from the war going on outside, it was directly targeted by the United States and bombed. More than 500 Iraqi men, women, and children were murdered in cold blood. There's a image of the bomb shelters. What is it? The roof, as it caved in when the bomb struck it, killing all those who were inside of it. There's a picture on Wikipedia and other places. I didn't know about this. I was listening to the radio recently as it is the 20-year anniversary of the Iraq war, and they mentioned the atrocities that occurred. This specific one, um, that was basically sanctioned by the US. And it immediately made me think of Nagasaki and Hiroshima because those were atrocities that were committed by the US that did not need to occur. Essentially, the US said, we have the technology, we have these atomic bombs. We don't know, we haven't used them yet. We don't know how they are going to destroy and decimate cities and populations. Why don't we test them out now?
No,
And
that's not exactly a fair assessment
it's a very
of the
simplistic.
history.
It's very simplistic, yes. But
Because and see, this is what they would argue. You got to take their argument from the time. The argument would be, yes, we dropped two atomic bombs, but we were just going to firebomb the place anyway. And we would have firebombed them, and the war would have gone on, and more people would have died had we not taken this action. What we did brought an immediate end to the war versus another year or two trying to break those people's spirits by bombing them constantly.
wait,
So
wait,
those
wait.
cities would have been bombed out regardless.
Well, wait a minute, because from what I understand, the timing of the bombings was at the end of the war, and Japan was ready to surrender, but they
But they
preemptively
hadn't surrendered yet,
they hadn't
and
surrendered yet.
and nobody, right? Nobody knows if they would have surrendered. But the bombing assured that the surrender was imminent
Okay.
because there was talks that a land invasion was going to happen in Japan also.
Land
Not only do have
invasion, invasion.
yes a
Okay.
land invasion of Tokyo or Japan Island, and you would have had street to street, village to village fighting, and that would have been far more destructive.
Hmm. All right.
I mean, that's what they would argue. That would be the counter argument to yes, we dropped two bombs and immediately ended the war. Now, what we don't talk about is why did Japan attack America in the first place? And that's because America put an embargo on Japan, and they were on Japan receiving oil. So those people were desperate. They were 6 months out of not being able to feed their population. That's why they went to war against America. But they don't teach you that. They just say, "Oh, Japan woke up one morning and chose violence against America."
Right.
So if you ever really look into American history, America is almost always the provocateur.
Right.
America is always on the wrong side. America is always doing something to someone else. I had a Facebook post that basically listed all the American interventions around the globe, and we're still doing it.
Well, that's what the whole Iraq war was about, because although it was Saudi nationals who pulled off the attack, it was 2 years after 9/11 that President Bush, Dick Cheney, and whomever decided we're going to attack Saddam Hussein and Iraq, who had no connection to the September 11th attacks, and it was all built upon a false premises. Oh, Saddam has weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, see, you're allowed to, when you're powerful, you're allowed to lie, and there's no repercussions because who can punish me? It's sort of like how fat black women run around and say things like, "Who gonna check me, boo?" We the who gonna check me, boo nation of the world because there's nobody powerful enough to check our behavior, and the United States government isn't beholden to the American people. So yes, they can come out and lie. They can flat out say, "Yeah, it was wrong," but what you gonna do about it? You gonna prosecute us? Every one of them should have been prosecuted for telling lies to the American public. And see, in China, the Chinese have one party, but if you run afoul of that party, or if you do something to embarrass the party, they'll execute a public official. They do it all the time. We give them nice pensions and pretend like they're good characters. We smile with them.
You're at 109 right now.
So, what else is in the news?
So it just was revealed that Colorado Springs police officer April Rogers infiltrated a bunch of left-leaning groups during the summer of 2020 in response to the George Floyd protest. She basically was trying to entrap these people into buying guns and doing something violent. Now, these groups, including like the local Black Lives Matter chapters, a group that was advocating against rent control, and other basically left leaning groups in the Colorado Springs area, was infiltrated by this white woman who said that she was a victim of sex trafficking and a prostitute and all kind of white women tears and
Wait,
whatnot.
okay,
But
wait. Let me. I want to see this article as you're telling me about it. So, what's her name? Let me pull it
her
up
name is
on my
April
computer.
Rogers, and she worked for the Colorado Springs Police Department. But the reason why I bring her up is because we've
Okay.
already had this. We had it in the 70s and 80s and 90s when it was called COINTELPRO. We don't teach history because teaching history to black people would hopefully change our behavior, and teaching history to white kids makes them feel bad. So we have this Disney-fied version of America, but this is what America really is. And I want you to notice that she was sent in to infiltrate left-leaning groups. She wasn't sent in to infiltrate, let's say, the Proud
Right.
Boys or the Oath Keepers,
Right.
because America, like people like to pretend like this is a two-party system. It really isn't. This country is center right or extreme right wing. That's why if you ever look at our history and you see whenever we remove a government, it's always a left-leaning government. We always uh, install a right-wing dictator because that's our true government function. We give you the illusion of two parties, but really it's only one party. We have one party just like China has one party. You
Wow.
don't have a real choice on anything. The things that they let you choose are things they don't care about. Like in China, they have elections. You can vote for things in China, but you're not going to vote for things that the party cares about because the party will do what they need to do. Like, ask yourself this: if you look at any spending bill, what goes through automatically? The military, the $800 billion that the military is going to get automatically off the top every year. Doesn't matter if the Democrats are in control of the House and the Congress. Doesn't matter if the Republicans are in control. It's 800 billion off top. But going back to the COINTELPRO, it should be a national disgrace that the FBI is sending in this white woman to go into peaceful organizations to spy on them. They say to us, this is a government of the people, and that the way that you change the government to your liking is by petitioning. But that's a lie. They say go through the petition, go through the ballot, because those are avenues that they can control, and they can tell you no. Nothing ever changes that way. But that's the route they want you to go. And even the organizations that are silly enough to try to go through those routes are still being spied on by a racist right-wing law enforcement apparatus. And that should be national news. But it's not. Nobody's talking about this.
Wow. That sounds right, and I don't have a rebuttal for it. I just, I don't know, man. Did you hear about the brother who was a member, I think, of the 77th precinct, and I don't know if he quit. I think he quit, and I think he's suing the department. But basically, um, yeah, he saw clearly that their tactics were racist, and he wasn't going for it. He wasn't complying, and he was like, I got to get out of here. Right here in Los Angeles, the LAPD.
I mean, the Los Angeles Police Department has always had a history of racial violence against Black people. I forget the name of the sheriff in the 50s and the 60s, but he
Parker.
specifically would recruit Southern white men to police Black areas because he wanted police officers that were racially antagonistic against the Black population. And those actions are what led to the Watts riots, is the constant abuse by white police officers. But it goes to this day. You still have active gangs in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, active white supremacist gangs. And by the way, for all the people who run around talking all that black and brown bullshit, Mexicans are very involved in these anti-black gangs. Mexicans aren't your friends.
What's
They aren't your
interesting?
allies.
What's
Yeah, go ahead.
What's interesting is they released a picture of the most recent recruits, or no, the graduating class of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Like all the cadets who graduated recently. That's a very scary picture to see because I'm guessing like 90% of these graduates are of Latino descent. And if there are any whites in there, I mean, they're sprinkled in there, but there were no blacks. There were no what distinctively or conspicuously, melanated people. There were no one in there, and
Well, I mean, the
that's
ethnic
scary.
cleansing of California is continuing. They got rid of all the Black people in San Francisco, moving them out of Oakland. So, where few Black people are in Northern California, they have to move further and further out. Down here, I think the population of LA is like 6% now, African American, and then you bring in these racially hostile Latinos, and you also make it so that as a Black person, just to work, you have to speak a second language. But that's
Yeah.
but but that's what the Democrats wanted. The Democrats wanted a new buffer class so that they wouldn't be beholden to Black people. So they let in all this immigration. Immigration has never benefited Black Americans. And then California goes even further with giving people fresh off the boat, off across the border, across the line. They start giving them benefits. You go over 50, oh, okay, well, you can get Medi-Cal and you can go to our doctors. Why? You can't, I couldn't go down to Mexico and get shit unless I'm paying out of pocket.
Yeah.
But it just encourages this migration. Then you have second and third generation Mexicans that are hostile to black people. You had the one gang member in Long Beach who said he would kill on sight any black man he saw with a Mexican girl. You had the the Mexican gang terrorizing black families in Los Angeles. But we don't talk about that, and we don't have the type of leadership that says, "Hey, why do we need all these Mexicans around? Well, how does that benefit Black Americans? We haven't gotten what we should have gotten out of America first. It would be like me adopting. I'm living in the projects, and I'm adopting more kids. No, they would say no until you are stable, until the kids that you're already having are thriving. Well, you can't have new kids. You can't have new people. The border should be closed until there's no poverty left in America.
Wait a minute, because you said, Mexican, but the Latinos comprise South American, Central American, as well as North American Latinos, from the Mexicans to
I
the
don't. I
Guatemalans, El
don't. Who gives a
Salvadorians,
who gives a
Hondurans.
smooth fuck which country they come from? It doesn't matter. Their attitudes are universal anti-black. MS-13 or the Serranos or the Norteños, doesn't matter what kind of Mexican it is. That's black people's problem. You spend time minor majoring in the minor. Who gives a shit?
Oh my
Oh, we got to figure
gosh.
out what kind of Spanish speaker this is. Who cares? It doesn't benefit black people at all.
Woo.